Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance. I am Becky, and for this quick shot, I'm joined by Leah. Hey Leah.
Hi, Becky.
So on this episode of A Quick Shot of Romance, we are reviewing Control Me by Michelle Hurd. And actually, I received a request from one of our listeners, and I forgot to write their name down, that they wanted us to do more Michelle Hurd.
Yeah,
That we
and I
had
really enjoy Michelle Hurd's book, so I'm really happy that we're doing this one.
we previously had done one of the books in the Sinner series.
Yeah, we
Book
did.
one. I think we did book one.
Yeah, I think it was.
So they've requested something else by Michelle Hurd. So we picked Control Me. Um,
hmm
we'll link the synopsis of this book in our on the shelf show notes at buzzingaboutromance.com. Leah, give us the stats.
Okay, so the release date was February 6th of 2023. The tropes are enemies to lovers, it is taboo, mafia, age gap, student, teacher, close proximity, daddy kink. It is part of the Corrupted Royals series. It is book 2 of the series, and they again are series of standalones. You do not have to read these in order. Becky didn't. She piecemealed these, but it works. It is a dual first person point of view story, and the put out percentage is 25%. Now, there are some content warnings. This book does contain subject matter that might be sensitive for some readers. There is triggering content related to extreme graphic violence. There is a rape scene that's handled respectfully and with care on page. The author did have at the bottom of the blurb that is a standalone, a mafia the romance standalone full-length novel, 18 plus only. Please read responsibly. In this novel contains triggering content.
So I highlighted this. This is actually from the author's content warning in the
Mm-hmm.
book, because I feel like the author took a very big risk in
I
this
agree.
book. And so I kind of want to talk about that. So if you have triggers when it comes to being sexual assault, then you need to not listen to this episode. You should
Mm-hmm.
turn us off, move on. We have great other fun, quick shots out there. Um, but I feel like we would be a disservice to our community if we didn't talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, and it's an integral part of one section of the story as well. So if we glossed over it, then we wouldn't be doing the story justice
yeah.
either.
So I think that this author took a big risk
Mm-hmm.
writing this assault on the page.
I agree.
Um, the author says that they felt they handled it respectfully and with care. I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yeah. I don't, well, but it's one of those things where I I have no personal experience in that, so I couldn't say if it's respectfully,
I don't have
you
problem
know what I mean?
I don't have any experience with it. I don't have a problem with authors alluding to it. We've read other books where we've seen heroines assaulted, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But the author did a good job portraying the brutality of the act without resorting to incredibly explicit detail.
Right.
But I'm not 100% sold it needed to be on page. I think she could have capsulated the moment and the triggering effects that it has on the rest of the story
Mm-hmm.
by giving us the feelings and the emotions that were happening within that scene and done it in a different way than talking about the actual physicality of
Mm-hmm.
what was happening to her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I don't know. If I had a different version of it, would it evoke the same feelings as this one did?
It really, to be honest, it took me out of the story. And
Mm-hmm.
so it there is a connection in a flirtation. Our heroine's name is Abigail, our hero's name is Nikolai. There is an attraction. We feel this
Mm-hmm.
intensity. They are fighting against their emotions. They do have a sexual encounter.
Yeah.
And then some things happen, and
Mm-hmm.
she is abducted and kidnapped
Yeah.
and taken hostage. And that leads up to this moment of assault.
Mm-hmm.
And this assault actually took me out of their chemistry. And then we have to basically, I feel like, for the couple as a whole, and obviously she feels this way too, Abigail, that they have to start over. So we've
Hmm.
lost the first 45-50% of their connection. And I
Yeah,
don't feel we ever come back to it.
I don't think we do until like the very end. And I wonder if it had happened in a different order. Like if this had happened at the beginning of the story, if it had if it had transpired a different way, but like plopping it, that's a bad way to describe it, but plopping it in like where she did.
Because it was at like 52-53% of the book. Like we were halfway into the book
Hmm.
when this kidnapping happens, and then
Yeah, and she takes huge steps back, as one would think. And so like they basically have to rebuild. Like he has finally decided like this is happening and then this happens and it does take you away from their connection and away from their moving forward.
so for me, so I had read the first book in this series. I had had an arc
Hmm.
and read it. If it had happened, alluded to off page
Hmm.
without all the graphic in the previous book and then shared as a prologue in this book, and then she
Hmm.
had to move forward from that, and that was
Yeah.
her whole, because you saw some of the flirtation between them in the
Yeah.
first book. It would have taken out the thought of a standalone, but I feel like we their HEA did not feel as solid as I wanted it to feel.
Hmm.
Like I worried that if she gets help, if she gets, you know, things all start to line up and get right 100% for her, is she
Hmm.
still going to have this strong connection to him? Or are her choices going to be different?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I think that if she had reworked the way that she did it, like I think it still could have stood alone, even with like adapting prologue and making like this part the prologue and him coming in because he's just like a substitute teacher, basically.
Yeah.
So she could have changed the timing and it would have played out much differently, I think.
I think it would have just kept our connection. Because so when I read a romance, and the ones that are going to be 4 and 5 stars are the ones with really strong, deep connections, and
Hmm.
that the author builds the chemistry throughout the entire book, right?
Yeah.
That there is this ignition of flame and this power of attraction, and the heat just keeps getting more and more intense until basically like your HEA is an inferno, right? Like
Yeah.
and I felt with this book, we were just starting the build up and somebody doused a cold glass of water on it.
Hmm.
Um, and I do think that it also created some character problems for me with Abigail. We had two very
Hmm.
different characters. She is not, and nobody expects you to be the same person, you know, after you suffer an assault, right?
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Like, there's two very distinctive. There's before the assault, where she's very strong. But like she flirts and she flirts hard and like, and then
She's
he
fun and
gives in.
carefree, and even for
Hmm.
being a mafia princess, she really kind of lives loud and the she
Well,
isn't really a sheltered mafia princess.
I mean, she is, but like she didn't allow it. Like she tries to live her best life. Like she realizes like this is my life and I'm going to make the best of it, whether or not like people are okay with it or not. And I appreciate that because so many times we get a mafia princess where they are sheltered. They don't go out, they don't do anything. Like they're all the virgins. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like she wasn't one. Like she lived, like she partied, she did her thing. Like she was a flirt. Like she wanted something, she went after it, and she decided she wanted Nikolai.
Well, and she was definitely, so we meet her actually in book one, and
Mm-hmm.
she is the power and the force behind her best friend. Like she
Mm-hmm.
is the strength, and her best friend is more of the sheltered mafia princess where typically we see.
Yeah.
And then we have this big thing happen to her, and she just seems half of herself. She's shattered.
Mm-hmm.
She's adrift, unsure how to proceed. But let's talk about Nikolai, because he is intense, he is possessive, and he does show this great desire to care.
He does. And he has very, very hard toucher and die vibes because at one point, like somebody's flirting with her and he punches him because how dare he? How dare he look at her? How dare he talk to her? And that's one thing that like Michelle heard, like when she writes a hero in these stories, these types of stories of hers, like once they are in, they're all in. There's no going back. There's no nothing. Like they are dedicated, they are loyal, they are possessive, they are intense.
They are really intense, and it's interesting, but even without the way he cares for Abigail after everything that happens, we
Mhm.
learn that Nikolai married his best friend's sister,
Yeah.
and he did it for a reason that was really
It's really
noble.
it was really sweet.
And so you see his capacity
Mhm.
for care.
Yeah.
And,
Well, and he even talks about like how he wishes like he could have felt differently in that relationship, but he tried because he did it as a favor to his best friend, and he realizes like he did not give her the care that he should have or needed to. And he does have some regrets almost about that. And it really just shows like yes, he might be a really intense mafia bratva. I think he's part of the bratva, like this really intense like
well, it's
enforcer
not
dude.
really clear because I think he's Scandinavian more than he's Russian.
Well, he
And,
works for Victor.
well, okay, wait, but he doesn't work for Victor. Isn't Victor his godfather? And he is,
Because when he is going after the dude at the end of the book.
oh, so he's part of that family. But his family
Mhm,
is kind of separate because they have their own little island that is
they
in the
do.
North Sea. Um,
Yes.
and their business is not typical mafia. It wasn't
No, they're
drugs.
blood
It wasn't
diamonds. They sell blood
they sell
diamonds.
diamonds, blood
But they
diamonds.
have a connection too. I just can't remember where it's from because his parents, I don't think, have a book because I was going back through the backlist because this is a second generation book.
Don't you feel like the parents should have had a book?
I want the parents to have a book. I really
Well,
do.
and
And
his grandparents
I
are
could be wrong. They
adorable.
might have one. Oh my God, I loved his grandparents.
Okay, but does his sister have a book?
No,
No, I think she has to. Because,
I don't. I
okay,
couldn't find it. I couldn't find
we'll
her
have to look.
name. I was
Okay,
going
let's talk
through
about this
it.
concept of Saint Monarchs because this is very unique
It
to
is.
Michelle Hurd Mafia. And I
Well, just
love
her whole
this.
work. Like, yeah. So it's basically a training university for all factions of the mafia, the Russians, the Italians, the Japanese, the if it's the mafia, it doesn't matter what nationality mafia it is, they go here and they train, and you are not allowed to kill anybody on Saint Monarch's grounds. Like there's a moment that happens, and if you read it, and there's some blowback, and it's like, but it didn't happen on the ground, so it's okay. But that's like it's like this
Yeah.
treaty place where they all train, but this is also the place where all the hits on everybody else goes through. Like this is where the money flows.
It was almost like when you seek sanctuary at a church.
Yeah.
This was sanctuary, but
It's like,
also it's the people you pay to put out a hit.
mhm.
So not only are they going to protect you, but they're
But
also
they might kill
arranging
you
for
when you
your
get
murder.
out. But they also might kill you when you get out. Like that's the thing. Like it's really crazy the way that it so they go and they're there for like 4 years in this training.
It's like Mafia U.
It's university.
Yeah.
It's a university.
Because they
It
learn how
is.
to
It's Mafia
embezzle
U.
they learn how to embezzle money, they learn
Mm-hmm.
about guns, they learn about how to escape attackers, they learn how to shoot weapons, they learn
Yeah.
hand-to-hand combat. Like
Yeah.
it's everything
But
you
there's not
need
a
to
lot
know
of
to
sex
survive the
going on. So
mafia.
it's like, well, but like when they talk about it, it's like they're pretty much celibate while they're there too.
Yes. Well, yeah, because you're not going
Which
to engage with the other fractions.
I mean, this is true.
Like,
But yeah, it's really crazy. But I think it's really interesting that she created this world, in which she brings them together. There's still tension. There's
It's
still
like a
like,
mafia convent or a mafia monastery or something.
it is. It
But
is.
it's
It is
men
Mafia
and women.
U. It is men and women. Like everybody is training. So a lot of the mafia princesses are sent there, like because they have to finally learn how to like protect themselves, and they have instructors, and there's different tiers of things. And Carson, who is the head of St. Monarchs, does have a book. I haven't read his book though.
It's such a neat concept. I like how she
It
weaves
is.
it in and out of her stories.
Mm-hmm.
And this the Royals, the Corrupted Royals, right? Is that the series right now that she
Um,
has?
that's that's the series previously. Well, this is Corrupted
Yeah.
Royals. The Sinners series, which is the one before it, everybody, all the kids at the university work for the people of the Sinners
Yeah.
series.
But the Corrupted Royals, like it is all taking place somehow with Saint
Hmm.
Monarchs because they're all
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Um so one of the interesting things that happened in this book is the unlikely friendship between Alex, who is a Bratva enforcer,
Hmm.
becomes Abigail's ally and confidant.
Like Protector, yeah.
And they like are
He's an
going to stab
enigma.
each other in the beginning of the
Hmm.
book.
Oh, well, because Alec, he's an asshole. Like when you read his book, like you can understand why he's the last book in this series. But he is not a pleasant person. Like he is dark and he is broody and he has reasons, but like he likes his friends and that's about it.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with Nikolai's family's island and
Just the
um
family in general and like the dynamic of like his parents and how they are. And there's a point where like he's talking to his dad and his dad basically says like when you meet that one woman who's going to get under your skin, like you just can't let go,
yeah.
like you're stuck, like she's under there forever, just give in, dude, just give in.
I also thought that it was interesting. Abigail, she doesn't have any siblings. She's an only child.
Mm-mm.
Her
Mm-hmm.
parents are trash. Her mother is like queen of the trash. Like
Oh yeah.
these are terrible humans. And she has a talent for art, and her heart desires to do her art and to paint.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because you sometimes we get these books of mafia princesses and they're being married off, and basically they're allowed to do whatever they want to do as long as they marry the person they're supposed to marry. But her
Mm-hmm.
family, like, basically, she needed to plan to be taking over their side because they're Italian mafia. You
Mm-hmm.
know, she needs to be able to step in. They're looking for family alliances within the Italian mob. And she just wanted to paint. And I still don't understand why she just didn't freaking run away.
Wow, but it's one of those things where she is an Italian mafia princess show. It had people following her.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, I did enjoy this story. Like I said, I just the assault on Paige kind of.
It throws you off a little bit. And I agree, like had it played out differently order wise, I think it would have been different because it does pull you out and they do have to rebuild. But I do enjoy the way that it like the way that he treats it. I think that the treatment of the aftermath was done really well.
It was done really well, and I believe in their HEA. I think that they, are going to be together forever. It felt solid in the end, but this
Hmm.
was absolutely a book that I needed an epilogue in.
Yeah.
So I did read this epilogue.
And we all know that Becky hates an epilogue.
I hate an epilogue. Anyway, do you have a book you think we should review for a quick shot of romance? Send us an email to thebees@bookcaseandcoffee.com or send us a DM, just like this person did and wanted us to do more Michelle Hurd.
Hmm.
Until next time, everyone.
Find us on Instagram at buzzingaboutromance or on Twitter at buzzingromance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.